Hello, everyone. We meet again in our program, Littalk. Okay. Here, what is our program? We come to Littalk 3. Okay. But Michael, this is Littalk 3 episode. Episode 3. Yeah. Littalk means a program to talk about the literature, the story that we get from the library. We are in the library now. We can see. We are in the library. Yes.
Very
Okay.
nice.
Okay, thank you. And then right now, we are very honored because you have a time to talk with us about your books. Yeah, we are lucky that you have a lot of books, but in the library we have 2 books. Yeah, can you share here? This is the books. Okay, it has.
Okay. But
Yeah.
if there is some way I can sign these books one day, that would be wonderful.
When in Bali, I will bring the book and I will ask your signature there. Okay.
Fantastic. And also, I have a book here, which I will bring with me for you for the library.
Okay, I see on Facebook. Okay.
And this is the next part of the story.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's just Tiki. It's just come out now. It's like 1 month old. Egghead.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Okay. And then we will start to ask you about the books, Egghead. Maybe another time we can ask another books if you don't mind. Okay. And then my student Gia will interview you some. Okay, Gia, it's time for you to ask everything about the book to Pak Michael.
Thank you for giving me the time, sir. Before we begin, what shall I call you? Should I call you Mr. Freeman or Mr. Michael or...
Whatever you feel comfortable with, I'm happy. You can call me Michael or Mr. Michael. What do you prefer? What makes you comfortable?
I guess I'll call you Mr. Michael. So, Mr. Michael, the main topic for today's Lit Talk would be your book, Egghead. It says here that it's a story about bullying and friendship, and it's based off of a true story, yes? Based off of your personal experience?
Yes, very much. It's based on those days when I was at school, both at middle school and also high school. And it's until I was about 16. This was my life, very dominated by bullying. It was the biggest thing that happened to me in all of those years, and the thing that never left me was this feeling of being bullied. And that many years of my life compressed into a little story.
Oh, I see. So you were around middle school and high school at this time.
Yeah, with the exact timing, I'm not sure, because obviously when you have a difficult time in your life, what you tend to do is you try to forget it. You try so you can function, you know. So I don't know precise details of the time, but I remember being in middle school and really suffering a lot, like many children. And this is why I wrote the book, because it's not just my experience; it's the experience of so many children of the past and children of the present. So it was really something I wanted to write for that reason, to share this, to help in some small way.
So that was the reason you decided to write this story in your book, because you just feel like it connects with a lot of people. Huh?
Yeah, it was a very interesting thing. The reason I started to write it was I met my middle school teacher after many, many years, and she was very important to me. She encouraged me to read. She was the one that gave me the love for literature, and it helped me a lot at school, to do well at school. And I saw her and I became a little boy again. In a way, when I saw her, that moment I saw her, because teachers are so important to us. You will find this in the future, that where you walk, the teachers will be with you in a certain sense. There's people that and so it was at that moment when I saw my teacher that I realized I had to write the story. And a little boy again. And that's it was very quick. I wrote the story very quickly. Like this story, it took me like 6, 7, 8, 9 months. Egghead, the original, 1 or 2 months.
Oh, so this is already a few drafts after your first story of Egghead?
No, but Egghead was just really easy to write because it was inside me. That's what I say. Egghead, the movie, the sequel I wanted to write because now, Tika, now for 7 years I've been traveling around the world to talk about bullying. And the questions are very often the same that people ask. And so I wanted to write a book where I could answer those questions. And so that's why this book came out, is because I wanted to answer those questions. I always know when a child is bullied by the question they ask. Do you want to know what the question is?
Yes, I do. What comes up usually when you do your talks?
Well, if I know, I tell the teacher, I say to the teacher, don't tell me who is bullied, I will guess. And I always guess right because they always ask the same question. They say Michael or Mr. Michael or Mr. Lacey Freeman. They say, are you happy now? And a bullied person asks that because they cannot imagine a world where they won't be bullied.
I see.
They cannot imagine a future where they will be happy. And so that's why these kinds of stories are so important to say, yes, you will be happy. Yes, there is a future. Yes, you are precious, you are important, and you are special. You listen, we love you. Don't listen to the voices of people who don't know you.
So what was life like for you every day at school during that period, if I may ask?
It was, well, you know, the thing about children of a certain age, when you are 9 or 10 or 11, and this is important for you when you have children as well, to understand this, they believe everything that people tell them. They have no critical faculty. So because everybody what the kids at school told me, I believe was true. So when I went to school, every day I thought of myself as being a failure, of being no good, of being some kind of strange kind of freak, hideously ugly. Let's hide. Don't let anybody see me because all of these things were run through my head all the time. You see, and the only place that was safe was home, where I could sit down in my room and read, and then I could escape. So basically, my life was like this. My life was about trying to make myself small, trying to make myself to become invisible. If you notice in the Egghead story, there are a lot of moments of invisibility. It's a big theme in Egghead. The invisible ball, the flag, looking at the flag, and seeing the wind, even though the wind is invisible. And Andrew, of course.
I see. Were there any bright moments during that period where you actually feel, oh, I'm very happy right now for a few days or moments in that time?
Well, I think the happy moments were always away from school because, of course, it was before digital technology. So I could escape from that when I was at home or with my family. My family were very important to me because they represented safety and were a place where people didn't judge me. But there were happy moments, mainly with David and with reading. And I did well at school. I mean, because I read. I mean, reading is the foundation of everything. Do you read a lot?
Yes, I enjoy reading a lot.
It's like putting money in the bank. It's like an investment in your future. Reading is everything. And it doesn't matter what you read. It just, your brain starts to respond. So, and by the way, your English is very good.
Thank you. If I may ask though, where are you from, Michael?
I'm from the UK. I'm from London, but I wanted to make the place very, very in Egghead, the original. I wanted to make the place very kind of vague, very general, because essentially I was a little boy in England, and I wanted the story to reach out to a little girl, let's say in Indonesia, or a little girl in Japan, or in Brazil, and so, or a little boy in Brazil, a little boy in Indonesia. And to do that, I had to make sure the location was quite general and not specific.
So I can connect with people, yes.
Yeah, to connect with people. That was really what I wanted to do. So I didn't give many details of the place or the school. I had only the trip to London. I live, the school is in a place where it's just like a 30-minute bus ride to London, to the center of London.
I see. In the story, and like you just mentioned, you mentioned a David who's your friend. So is he based off of a real person in that time in your life?
Yes, David is a real person, and he was the one, and that happened at that moment. Very important moment, a very important lesson. When I thought that by fighting David, people think the answer is with these things, but these things they're never the answer. And I thought maybe if I did something like if I fought David, that the other children would start to like me. But as soon as I saw his face, I realized that this was not the way to do things. And I got a friend. And he is still my friend. When I go home to the UK, because now I live in Italy, I live in another country now, I see him, and and obviously we are the same age, and we, so basically I know him, I still know him. They're all real people in the story.
Do you still see him from time to time or hear from him?
Time to time I hear from him, yeah.
So for you, when did things started getting better? Like when did you start feeling better about your life or yourself outside of home?
I think when I left school. No, when I left high school and I went to college, I stopped because physiologically I changed and my body became bigger. And so, so I stopped people who didn't know me before, because until high school, there was a history of me having this name, not just at school, also in the town, I must admit. But like when I went to college, I moved away from my town as well. And I started to sort of be more kind of relaxed. And I started to concentrate on studies a lot. University, I did very well because I read so much. And then, so basically it started to get better then, but always inside me, there was this feeling that I was no good, that I was not good enough. And the way I liberated that feeling in the end was to write Egghead.
Oh, yes.
But that's how I managed to liberate this feeling, and writing stories was so important for me, not just Egghead, but stories, because can you imagine when I wrote my first story and it was published and I got a message on email from somebody, from my editor, and said, Michael, your story is in the final of the Language Learner Literature Award. This was my first story, not Egghead. And that was when I started to believe in myself. I thought, wow, people like what I write. And it was like I felt like I wanted to fly, when I realized, because writing is the thing.
An amazing feeling.
Yeah, and I think the message for you is never be afraid to try. Never be afraid of your creative work to show to others, to bring it to the world and show what you can. Whatever it is, it can be art, it can be artistic, it can be, it can be painting or drawing or singing or writing. whatever it is, bring it to the world. Bring your gift to the world,
At what age did you write Egghead?
Well, I wrote Egghead, you see, basically I started, when I finished university, when I moved to Italy, another country, I became a university professor. And so I was teaching a lot. That was my main job. My daughter was born because I'm married. And I dedicated a lot of time to my children for many years. Because we learn from our children. Because when you get older, you forget some of the things that children know instinctively. Like once I was watching my little daughter, and she went to get her toy, and she ran just a few meters, like to her toy. And I said to myself, when is the last time I ran for no reason? I never run for no reason, just for the joy of running. Children do this. So I started to do this every day, and it actually works. And I recommend that you do it, because even just for 2 or 3 seconds, it gives you lots of energy. That's why children do things for a reason. And I learned many things from my children, watching them. And I think then it helped me to become a writer, because I observed them. And a writer for children. And I became a child again. So I actually wrote Egghead in 2016, 7 years ago. I wrote the story Egghead. But I had written many things before that. And when I was ready for Egghead. If you look at Egghead, if you have the copy of the book there, can you go to the last page of the book?
Yes. The last page.
Last page.
Yeah, last page of the book.
Page 66.
The part where
I say let's go through.
Yeah.
The last page?
Yeah. Yeah. You look, there's a line, there's a gap between the last paragraph and the last line. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, there is a gap in the last sentence.
Yeah, because I wrote that story and I finished on, I didn't have the last line at the beginning. And I was saying, maybe Andrew I can't find Andrew now. Maybe I don't need him. Maybe he's helping. And I'm saying, maybe he's helping someone else right now. And then I finished the story. I finished. I was so happy. I went for a walk to celebrate for half an hour. And then I got back and I thought, no, it's not finished. And I go into the computer and I wrote, maybe he is helping you. And I wanted the gap between this, because it's the one moment where Egghead looks the reader in the eye. Because all of the rest of the story is looking down. And he's telling his secrets to you. And at the end, the last, maybe he is helping you. And it really is that. It's a message to all children, a little message among many messages, a little light among lots and lots of different lights, just to say you are not alone. That's a very
beautiful message.
Maybe I have one question.
Yes.
Okay. You said that Andrew is your best friend inside in your mind, right? Uh, uh-huh. Do you think that you still have a connection with him? Mean that in your age now that you have a what is it, a professor? Do you still talk with Andrew, or Andrew is really gone from your mind?
I think Andrew, I often think this. Thank you for the question. I often think what Andrew represented for me, and for me, I think Andrew is that part of me that is pure and untouchable, and that is guiding me. That is not really, that is, it's that part that we all have that tells us what the right thing to do is. And sometimes we don't listen, or we can't hear that voice because we are so distracted by so many things. Especially nowadays, there are so many distractions in the world that we can't hear the voice that guides us. And it's a voice that I believe that comes from God, that we all have. That that's my personal belief. But obviously, when I was a kid, I didn't know what this voice was, but it was a voice that was guiding me, was saying to me, Michael, everything will be okay. You are precious. You are special. You will be okay. With me, I will guide you. I will be with you at every step of the way. And that's what I needed. I think that is always with us. That part of us that is not material. You know, I'm not a theologian. I'm not, you know, but I just feel there's a part of us that's not material, that is not possible to break, that is eternal. And it's just that I think that's what how I see it, you know. So Andrew, when Tom died Tom died in some years ago. He died, and like that, Andrew definitely guided me there, because I was absolutely devastated. I was so, and I went to the funeral of Tom. And in the UK, the tradition is that one person is selected to speak about the person who has passed. And they asked me to do this, to talk about Tom. And that day, there were 300 people at the funeral, which was the whole town, really. Even the shops closed, because by then Tom was so popular. Everybody loved Tom. And everybody was crying when I spoke about him. And I said, help me to not cry, because I wanted to deliver the message. And I managed to deliver the message, to tell everybody in that room what they already knew, which was Tom was a special person who told me the story. For me, he was another guide. And we look for our teachers. Many of them are in the classroom, but some are also outside the classroom. And we find our teachers, and they stay with us for all of our lives. Tom is with me. He is my teacher, you know, as well as Mrs. Hewitt.
So he's a very important person in your life. You even made an essay about him, like in the story, yes?
Yes, and that essay comes back in Egghead the movie. The story is called Egghead the movie, but it's not a movie. Obviously, it's a book. You can say Egghead. But there is a reason for that, obviously. But that scene does come back. The moment when I talked about Tom in the story, and I've always been as well. It's strange, but when I was a child, it was more difficult for me to speak to a single person. I didn't have any problem speaking to a group of people, because then it wasn't so scary. But one person, I was always waiting in my little head. I was thinking, this person soon will understand that I am Egghead, and then they won't like me anymore. And this was how a child reasons, you know. So yeah, Andrew, I think is something. Andrew is interesting. Like Andrew is I don't think it's something I invented. It's something from within. That's all I know. I think there is something that is, like it's like you know, like a radio, and an old-fashioned radio, when you turn the dial and you hear the noise, and you're trying to find the channel, and then the music appears. Andrew was that for me. And so I listened to everything he said.
That's very
Any other? Okay, but Michael, you know that everyone has their own story. Yeah, I think Gia also has a story. I have a stories, and a lot of stories. But how can we, what is it, make our own story become a book like you? You know that since I was a kid, you know, there are so many things happen in my head. But when I start writing, I could not finish it. I'm just a reader. I cannot become a writer. So maybe you have a tip. Kia is a good reader. She read a lot of books. When I asked her to read the simplified books, she tried to find the original one, not the simplified one.
That's wonderful.
It's very excellent. That's why she very happy when I asked her to make a conversation with you, that she says big yes to make a conversation with you. So to have an idea how to help someone that our story become a book, maybe the simple ones.
Well, you know, it's you can see it. I mean, it's something that it takes. I think the first step is to realize that you are a writer, that you can write. You know, to sort of recognize yourself as such. But like, I think it's a psychological thing at the beginning. The second thing is to really kind of be sure who you're writing for. It's very, very important. Whenever we write, we need to know who we're writing for. And it's the same with a story. So get very clear in your mind who you're writing for. And also, I think it's really important to get away, to move any fear out of the equation, like not thinking, oh, is worrying, or any ego, you know, like thinking, how does a writer write? You are unique, so you write in your way. And that's important, I think, like to be. So these are certain kind of psychological traits, let's say, some things that are important. I think honesty is important as well, to be honest with yourself. Writing a story is like going home. You know, there's the story of the little boy who has to go to school on a winter day, and it's very icy on the ground, and there is ice on the ground, and it's very slippery. And he's walking to school, but because he slips, he takes one step forward, but then two steps back. And he gets further and further away from the school. And he says, how am I going to get to school? My teacher's going to be really angry with me. And then finally he gets to school, and the teacher is angry. The teacher says, why are you late? And the little boy says, sorry, sir, but it was slippery on the ground, so every step I took towards school, I took two steps back. And he said, how did you get to school then? If every step you took to school, you took two steps back. And he said, simple, sir. I turned round and walked home. And you know, that's a kind of, that's what you do when you gain strength from what you know, and you go home when you're writing. Don't try anything. Don't think you have to do anything spectacular. You know, because even the smallest things are a story. Everything is a story. Everything. So find the stories of the simple things that are a part of you, that belong to you. Whenever I write a story, I have to know, the first thing I have to know is how it begins and how it ends. And if you have that, the rest will work itself out. If you have these other kind of things I mentioned, honesty, and you believe in yourself, and you know who you're writing for, your brain will work it out for you. But you have to know the beginning and the end, because it's like any journey. If I'm going to go to Jakarta, okay, but I have to know where I begin the journey and where I end the journey. Then I can plan the journey, then I can make the journey. So I would think the first thing is to do that, is to and to believe in yourself, you know. It's very difficult for a writer, or for any, I think, any kind of endeavor, really. That moment when you finish the story and then you have to press the button to send it. Because when you do that, it's no longer your story. It's everybody else. It's somebody else's story. You have read Egghead, and so therefore you are a part of that story, and you have put yourself inside that story, that simple story. You have said, "Oh yes, I know that feeling. Oh, I remember something that makes me feel like," and so it becomes everybody's story. The people that read it, you know, it's a community.
Okay, that's very great sharing. Okay, we still 5 minutes left for this conversation, for the talks. Yeah, maybe Kia want to ask the last ones. The question.
A last story.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Like you said, you just explained very well on how everyone has a story and how they can like tell their story. And in the book Egghead, your character Michael also wrote an essay. And you yourself have stated that you really like reading and writing. Did you ever see yourself becoming an author as a young child?
No, I never thought. I thought an author was something like incredible. You're too little for this, and I think humility is very important. You know, and I always had that. I never, and like, so I never. But I remember when I was at school, I was 17, and I wrote in my school book, I wrote the name Tommy, and I wrote the title of a story, Dot to Dot. I wanted to story dot to dot.
Yeah.
And I said, because life is like a dot to dot, I thought. You know, like those with children when they do the drawing, they one number to the next. So, and I said, one day I'm going to write that story. And then I did. You know, I did actually write that story many, many years afterwards. But no, I think that, you know, I think I didn't really believe that I could write for other people, because you know what it's like, Tia, when you have something, everybody has different talents, but you know, I'm sure that you have many talents. You're very good at language, for example, and maybe sometimes when people say to you this, you think, well, it's normal, it's natural, because for you it is, and you don't think of it as it being anything special, because it's something you do and you're good at doing. You know what I mean? It's like I didn't realize that. I just thought writing. I didn't ever have that conviction that I am a good writer, and I still don't really have that conviction, because I think as I said, humility is important. And to be honest with you, whenever I write something good, I think it comes from God anyway. It doesn't really belong to me. You know, I think that I just open myself up to what God gives me. You know, that's how I see it. I don't see myself as being anything special at all in any way. You know, but the thing is now, Tia, I know that I'm okay. You know, I know that I'm not that person that I thought I was when I was a little boy. I'm confident now about that I have something to say and I have something to give. And that's really what it's all about. I'm happy to give. I'm going to Vietnam in a few days, and I'm going to be traveling around in a bus, meeting teachers from different countries, from different regions of Vietnam. You know, that's what really I feel. That's what I'm here to give. That everybody is here to give something, I think, to contribute something. And it's good to know what it is, you know, what you're here for.
Okay, that's great.
Konservasi air. Konservasi air disebut juga penghematan air. Konservasi adalah perilaku untuk mengurangi penggunaan air segar melalui metode teknologi dan perilaku sosial. Mengapa harus menghemat? Karena jumlah air bersih yang layak pakai semakin hari semakin berkurang. Berikut upaya yang dapat kita lakukan untuk konservasi air. 1. Pilah dan buang sampah pada tempatnya. 2. Menjaga kebersihan drainase. 3. Menyediakan penampungan air tanah atau air bersih. 4. Mengurangi penggunaan zat kimia. 5. Gunakan air dengan bijak. 6. Tutup keran dengan rapat. 7. Dengan menanam pohon. 8. Pemasangan instalasi air yang baik dan perawatan yang rutin. 9. Menampung dan memanfaatkan air hujan. 10. Membuat sumur resapan. 11. Membuat lubang biopori. 12. Menampung dan memanfaatkan air bekas. Dan yang terakhir adalah mengolah air limbah. Setetes air, 1000 manfaat. Mari menghemat air. Iklan layanan ini dipersembahkan oleh Perpustakaan Loka, SMA Negeri 1 Sedayu.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe you have a final statement for us, for our students. You know that this program will be watched by the students at a school. We cannot live because you know that at the time they are learning at the classroom. So
Yes.
maybe you have a statement to motivate them to like reading, and then you know that your books are very easy to understand. The language are so simple. That's why we like it so much. The eggheads, the ... My students have read it, and maybe when we are in Bali, I will show you the comment of the book from my students. Okay, so please give us final comments about this program, about reading the books, and
Well,
maybe someday they become a writer. Maybe someday, one of them, two of them.
well, yeah, I mean, I think we can all, we're all writers in a way, as I said. I think we can all be writers. But like, first of all, I'd like to thank you for inviting me. And, you know, I mean, when you are, you know, you picked up in Martini, you picked up the book Egghead like this, I thought, I still have that feeling of, wow, this is my little story, that there are people in Indonesia, a country so far away from me, and they are reading this book. So thank you for inviting me, and thank you all the people who will be listening later for reading my story. And the language is I try to keep the language simple because I want to reach as many people as possible with the message. My messages always come from a place of love, and I want to communicate that through my writing. And I want to give like a message of hope to all of you. I think in this complex world that we live in now, most important thing, the most indestructible thing is still love, and it will be always love. Reading is fundamental. It's very important to read. It's the foundation of everything.
Okay.
When I was at school, you know, that was what I did all the time.
Okay. Maybe we can make another series because my technician has shown me that the time is up. So
okay.
I'm afraid that suddenly then finally the link will guns. Yeah.
I can talk a lot.
So thank you very much. Thank you for the time. Thank you for sharing with us. And see you in Bali. We can continue to discuss about literacy in Bali. Okay, Mike, once again, thank you very much for joining in Littalk. Yeah,
Terima kasih banyak. Terima
Oke.
kasih.
Sama-sama Pak Michael. Oke, see you in Littalk 3 SME 1 Sedayu. Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Sampai jumpa lagi.
Ya, di Bali. Oke.